Oh, yeah, so last meeting we talked about GNAP, so greeting, name, association, and purpose, and the ways to a proper handshake, and just some professionalism in general. It's on Canvas if you want to watch it or if you missed it. And if you want to do all these fun activities, make sure you pay your dues and turn in your membership forms.
We're still working on membership, so get that done. Oh, on that note, we also have professional member forms. We've talked about that over the past few meetings. Please get your parents to sign up to be professional members. We really need them. If you want a professional member form, I have them. Just come ask me. We'd really appreciate it. Okay, first thing we're going to talk about is some community service opportunities that we have coming up. Our first one we're calling Socktober. And so we need you guys to bring packs of socks to donate. We're going to donate them to homeless in Montgomery County. There's a bin in room 250. You can bring them. You get DECA points. We really need you guys to participate in community service so that we can hit some of our goals this year. And we also really want to help out the community. So if you bring a pack of four pairs of socks and a pack or more, and bring them to room 250, we'd really, really appreciate it. Another thing we're doing is bags of candy. So orchestra is having like a concert and they're having like a little carnival before it. And so each club is running a booth. So we're going to be having like a spinning wheel thing where you can win candy, but we need you guys to bring candy. And then all of the proceeds for that will also go to Harvey victims. So if you guys could go like get one of those big mixed bags of Halloween candy at the grocery store or Costco, you will get lots of DECA points, and we would really, really appreciate it if you guys could bring those things.
Okay, so we're going to be talking about written events today. And the difference between like written events is between like role plays that you get to like practically you're doing it yourself. And so since you know what's on it, you can use that to your advantage and just like present like better, more fluently. You can also like go at your own pace when you're making the project, so you don't have to like cram, or you can just over time prepare yourself for this. And also you can be more creative. You can use visual aids or props for this. Sarah will go over more in detail with that. Next. Yeah. Okay. And here's the 5 categories, like the main categories for written events. Essentially, they all have their own specific requirements and unique ways in which you can present them. So that's that.
Okay, so we're going to be going over each of these 5 categories. There's a lot of different events, so we don't have time to go over every single event, but we're going to go over the main categories. So if you guys hear a category that sounds like something you'd want to do, either take a picture or write it down, remember it, so that you can go look it up on Canvas, research it a little bit more.
And ask us.
And ask us questions. But just be paying attention and thinking about like which category you'd want to do, and then under that we can help you figure out which specific event would be best for you. So the first category are called professional selling and consulting events. We consider these written events, but the cool thing is there's actually no written paper with it. It's kind of special. It's kind of a mix between a written and a role play. So it is a prepared presentation. You do prepare it ahead of time. You prepare all your visual aids ahead of time. You know exactly what you're talking about. You just don't actually have to write like a written manual. And they're focused on selling. They're focused on sales. And so in order to do these, it's really good to be a super outgoing person, a person who's really good at sales, a person who's really good at convincing people, super charismatic. Those are the people who do good in these events. It's only one participant. There is a test, different test depending on which specific event you do. There's no pages you have to write, and it's a 15-minute presentation. But just a note about all of these, they're all 15-minute presentations, but that's a maximum. You don't have to fill that entire time. You could go in there for 2 minutes, you probably wouldn't win, but you could go in there for 2 minutes and it's totally fine. They will cut you off at the end of 15 minutes, that's why we say 15 minutes though. So some of the 3 different professional selling and consulting events are financial consulting, hospitality and tourism professional selling, and just regular professional selling. They are a little bit more competitive than some of the written ones because you don't actually have to write a paper. A lot of people like to do them because they don't want to write a paper. So they're a little bit more competitive, but if you're super good at sales, you're super charismatic, I would recommend professional selling.
And like last year's topics were, so the professional selling, you had to figure out why a real estate agent would want a drone in their business. Then it was like, should I buy or lease a car for the financial consulting or the hospitality and tourism? They gave you a scenario where you had like 3 days where you had to book a conference vacation for a nonprofit organization, and you had to prepare it and present what you would come up with to the judge. So it's not necessarily like you're going to try to get your judge to actually purchase your product, but you have to come up with creative ideas and ways to make them understand that you know what you're talking about on those 3 different topics.
So then the next category are marketing representative events. These are 11 pages, but again, that is maximum. You don't actually, you can write 10 pages, you can write 9, you can write however many, but they won't let you do more than 11. But honestly, a lot of times you end up with lots of pictures, lots of graphs, and it's super easy writing, so you'll probably end up having to cut down if anything. 11 sounds like a lot, but it's really not bad. It is one presentation, 15 minutes. There is also a test depending on which event. I think it's pretty much all marketing tests. There might be one that's different. And you can have 1 to 3 participants. So you can be alone or you can be in a group of 3 or 2 people to do these. They're really focused on marketing, advertising. These categories of events really allow you to be very creative. They allow you to come up with your own ideas. Advertising is something that can be very creative. You can be really crafty with it if you want to with visual aids. I did one of these events my sophomore year and I really liked it because we got to use a lot of our own ideas. And the creativity was a huge thing, especially with marketing events. And so some of the different marketing representative events are advertising campaign, fashion merchandising promotion plan, and sports and entertainment promotion plan. So if you like fashion or advertising or sports and entertainment, these might be good events for you.
Okay, so the next category are entrepreneurship events. And entrepreneurship events are really focused on either creating your own idea and building it, or building upon an existing idea you already have. And so the papers range between 5, 11, and 30. And again, we stress that's a maximum. A lot of the time what people have a problem with is cutting down their paper. Like last year I did a 5-page paper, but I ended up with 10 pages and I had to cut that down. And it's also a 15-minute presentation, but again, like Nikki said, that's a maximum. And there are a couple of different entrepreneurship events you can do. One of them is the innovation plan, there's a startup business plan, the independent business plan, the international business plan, and those other 2. And one important thing I want to note is while some of them are 5 pages, those are often the most competitive ones. That was one of the ones I did last year, and there's always so many people who do them because they see the 5-page paper and they think, I'm going to do it. And those are the entrepreneurship.
Wait, time out. Go back. So on those 2, so innovation would be like something that you create. Startup business plan would be something that you create. International business is usually like a business here, but you're trying to launch it internationally. That one is actually pretty it's easy if you know what you're talking about, because not a lot of people do it, if that makes sense. But it's a little bit harder of a topic. Business growth plan is how you could actually grow a business. And then the franchise business plan would be like if you wanted to open up your own McDonald's. Okay, so they're a little bit different, and it's not necessarily like you have to come up with a completely new product.
For some of them, these are the most kind of like Shark Tank. There is some that you use an existing company, but there's some that you could totally create your own company too, and that's always fun. Yeah, they're just really creative too.
Okay, so business operations research event, this is kind of like the big boy of the pages because it's 30 pages and that kind of seems daunting, but you know, it kind of goes by. So the operations research events, they're structured around doing an actual study. So if you're kind of a math-oriented person or you want to figure out why people are doing things or why people want to go to a certain business, this is a really great project because you're actually going to be conducting a survey or a certain like scientific study, research study. I actually did this last year with my partner Nikki, and we found that at the 30 pages we had to cut down a page or 2 because we had written so much about it. And for our study, we just did a survey of 200 people, and we did it on the Vans, so the shoe company. And the great thing about that is that our target market was actually kids our age, so we could do that study at school with Miss Miller and Miss Gorley's classes. And we just had that right there and then, and we just conducted all that research and tried to see what it meant and what we could do for our project. So they're centered around a topic. So this year's is about customer experience. Probably because of all the stuff about United, you know, in the news about how they're not so great in the customer service department. So what you're trying to do this year is improving a company and their customer service to make them better oriented for their people. But you probably don't want to do United as a company because everyone's going to want to do that. So you want to pick a company, you know, a lot of the times we try to suggest people to do local companies because you can interact with them directly in the Woodlands and see what their actual intake on their problem is. And then some of the things you can do is business service operations research, buying and merchandising, finance, hospitality and tourism, and sports and entertainment. So there's a lot of different things and variety to choose from, and it's a good one if you want to just see start to finish what a problem can turn into a solution.
Okay, and then next are chapter team events. These are also 1 to 3 participants. They are also 30 pages and a 15-minute presentation. These are a little bit less business oriented and a little bit more community service or DECA oriented. So the majority of these events, you're either improving our DECA chapter or improving the community. So it's less, you still use business strategies and you still have a budget and it still has to do with business, but it's less so.
And they must be approved by Ms. Miller. You can't
Yeah.
just choose to do it.
Yeah, and so it's a little bit more, it's something that you do that you either get the community to actually participate in or you get our chapter to actually participate in, and then you take what you did and then you go present it to the judge, like this is what I do. The special thing about these though, every single other event there is, we can have multiple groups compete in them. We can have everyone in our chapter do one event. We don't want everyone in our chapter to do one event because then we're competing against ourselves. But this category of events, you can only have one team per chapter do it. So if you're thinking about doing one of these, come tell Ms. Miller and get it approved by her first so that if someone else wants to do it, you know, you get the spot first. These are really good if you're good at planning, if you actually want to like do something rather than just write about something. Some of the different events are community service, creative marketing, entrepreneurship, financial literacy, learn and earn, and public relations. So the 2 in yellow are ones that people have already taken. I'm doing community service and she's doing entrepreneurship promotion plan, but the white ones are still open. And then there's a big green arrow next to financial literacy because Ms. Miller actually met a guy at a dinner and he works in the finance industry and she's telling him about it and he was super interested. And if there's a group that wants to do it, he was very interested in helping and working on the project with them. So we do have an opportunity for that one if someone is interested.
And so kind of what she's talking about by a team event. So you guys have heard about her, Highlanders Helping After Harvey? Yes, hopefully, because that's the DECA campaign. So that's our community service DECA campaign. That's Nikki's project. So anything that says Highlanders Helping After Harvey, Nikki's writing about and presenting to the judge. Okay? So we have multiple events under that one umbrella. Then like Sarah, for example, is doing the entrepreneurship promotion project where they're actually doing an entrepreneurship fair with the intermediate schools and local entrepreneurs in the area. So a lot of you are probably going to get reached out to and say, hey, bring candy for the Highlander booth to give back to Hurricane Harvey because we need your participation. Okay, you get DECA points to participate in them. You'll probably see Sarah saying something about, hey, can you guys come and volunteer your time that Saturday at my fair just to greet people or pass stuff out or whatever the case may be. You might see them and you want to volunteer for those. One, that's going to help our school actually advance, but 2, they need your help. And like on the financial literacy promotion, one thing could be that you want to have a guest speaker. Obviously, we need people to sit in chairs while the guest speaker talks. Okay, so that's what it means by a chapter team event. We come together as a chapter to compete in those events. And we can't be successful as a chapter unless we as a team come together.
And then the people doing the event, even though everyone in the chapter is kind of participating, the people doing the event are the ones planning it and then writing about it and presenting it to the judge. Either 1, 2, or 3 people, whatever group you choose. And they're less business oriented, so if you're not too sure about business, those might be some things. Okay.
Okay, so judging. Obviously, when you go to a competition, you are going to be judged by a judge. So you always present in front of one judge. And with written events, what's especially important is your presentation. Because everyone can have a really good paper, but what's important and what stands out and what sticks with the judge is your presentation, how you compose yourself. You can have a really good project, but if you have a monotone voice and you don't sound interesting and you don't try to engage with the judge, then you probably won't be remembered by the judge. one thing I want to stress is visual aids. Visual aids kind of give the judge something to focus on while you're talking, because no one wants you to stare at your face for 15 minutes. And visual aids tell a lot about your project. For example, you can come up with different acronyms to like summarize your project, something that can stick in your judge's head. For example, last year with my project, I designed an app to help reduce food waste, and one of my visual aids was an acronym for the word waste, and with each of the letters, I came up with something that clearly defined my project and told the judge about it. And so that is true. Your presentation, the way you're judged is it's generally 50% paper and generally 50% presentation. So you want to make sure both aspects are really stellar in order for you to move on. And like we've reiterated before, the fewer pages an event is, the typically more competitive it is. So that's why we're also trying to encourage you guys to do the ones with more pages, because though it might initially seem really daunting, you have less competition and a better chance to advance to the international competitions.
Yeah, that's kind of the ironic thing. Fewer pages sounds really good, and you can do fewer pages. We encourage you to compete in anything. And if you want to write fewer pages, that's something you can totally do. We totally support.
Do the project you want to do.
Do the project you want to do, but don't pick a project just because it's fewer pages and it sounds fewer pages, not pages, and it sounds easier, because the fewer pages, the more on point and stellar your project really has to be. So don't let like 30 or 11 or anything intimidate you. Do the project that sounds interesting and fun to you, because that is how you will do best, and you'll be passionate and you'll stand out to the judge. Do what you like to do, what you have passion for.
Okay, so the question would come up now that you're wondering, how do I compete? So in order to compete, you need to make sure that you've paid your DECA dues and that you're a paid DECA member. Next, we are going to be passing out yellow competition agreement forms, and we have those available right now if you already know what you're going to be doing. But if not, just take your time, think about it, but you need to make sure that you get those in. Next, competing is completely free, and that's like one of the greatest benefits to it. But if you guys don't show up, you still will have to pay for the $35 competition payment form that the district pays, and that's if you said you were going to compete and you didn't. So make sure that if you say you're going to compete, you are going to go through with it and you are going to compete. That's one big thing we want to stress.
And December 1st is the date for that. So you don't have to decide right now. There's a little bit of time to research what you want to do and figure out what you want to do. And if you think written's not for you, we also have a meeting next week about role play. You can come and figure out what you want to do. But by December 1st, we have yellow forms. Is there anything else?
Yes. Okay, so a couple of other things just to like piggyback on everything that they said. We said like don't get discouraged about the page number, because I don't want you to think that in business it's like an MLA paper, double-spaced, paragraph form paper. That is not a business paper, okay? It has headings, it has bullet points, it has graphs, it has charts, it has pictures, okay? Obviously, you would not want to put a 5x7 picture on one page, but those pictures can take up some of the space and still get your point across, okay? And instead of writing all these long, huge sentences, paragraphs, you can write bullet points, get straight to the point. Business people like to be straight to the point, okay? So keep that in mind too if you're not the best writer. The other thing that I would encourage, and I encourage most of us to do written events, okay? The reason I say that is because you write the paper, we can read it, okay? I can read it, Ms. Reynolds can read it, any teacher in the school could read it, and we can critique it. We can say, hey, what about this? If you have an accounting portion of it, guess what? I know an accounting teacher. If you have grammar, you should probably ask your English teacher. If you want to know business stuff, you could ask me, creative stuff, whatever, okay? We find people to read your papers to help you get to the next level. The one thing that I do say about that, though, is if you're wanting to write a written event, you might want to start now, because if everybody turns in their written event at the deadline, your paper may or may not get read, because we obviously have stuff to do too outside of school. So if the written event is something that you want to do, you want to start getting the ideas and start putting it together, come talk to me or one of the officers. We can help you find out which event it is. That way we can start helping you write it and get started and show you where in the world you start to write your paper, okay? Also, there was something else I was gonna say. We can read it. Oh, and too, the cool thing is when you present, so like you get to make your whole presentation just like we're presenting right now, we can watch you present, okay? I can record you if you want and send somebody a video in the industry that you're trying to present in to make sure that it sounds right, just in case maybe like you're in the financial industry. I have zero clue about finances, okay? So instead, I could reach out to my friend that's an accountant or a CPA and say, hey, do you mind watching this presentation? Does this kid make sense? Okay? Does everything seem like it adds up? Is there any questions you might have? And they will literally watch your video and send me their questions that they would have so you can fix it and fix your entire presentation. So if you like to succeed and you want to get to the international level, you want to get past district and go to state, I feel like written events could definitely get you there because we have a lot of resources. The only thing that I would suggest is you start now. Okay? Like pretty soon. So start asking the questions like, what should I do? What event? This is what I'm interested in. This is what I'm not good at. I have a partner that's also interested in it. Stuff like that. Make sense? Yes? Okay, are any of the people here that said that they would be interested in that financial literacy promotion thing? There was 2 people that wrote back on a group me. Nope, not here? Okay. Cool. Okay, that's all I want to say.
Okay, so we just want y'all to know that we're here to help you. If you have any questions, you're encouraged to talk to any of the officers, to talk to our advisors, to just come to us with questions. If we don't know the answer, we'll ask someone. We'll find it on the DECA website. We'll find it on our Canvas. But we do have information put on our Canvas website. It's a lot of examples for the role plays, for the written events, for the competitions. And if you can't find anything there, or you want something more in depth, you're going to look on DECA.org. There's a whole lot of information on there as well. So all the information from Canvas has been taken from
Don't
DECA.
leave yet. I want to show you the website.
Yeah, has been taken from DECA.org, but most of it is just, if you want more in depth, go to DECA.org.
Okay,
Or
so
ask us.
I'm going to show you really quick because obviously we can't go over every single one of them. But if you look at this, you can see all the different events. And one thing that we did not talk about is online events. If you've ever done virtual business in one of your marketing classes, please come see me if you want to do that as an event, okay? Or if you're super good at those video type games, we only have 1 person so far confirmed for virtual business. Thank you, Sydney. Okay, so we can have 1 team for each virtual business. And if you compete and you get top in our region, you automatically advance. And the cool thing is, if Sydney wants to do virtual business, but then he's like, okay, I could write a paper too, he can compete in both events and he could win at nationals at both if he wanted.
So for like the rest of the events, you can only choose like 1 per year, but you can do one of these and also virtual business. Virtual business lets you do virtual business in addition to a written or oral play, which is...
So this is the website, and obviously I'm not going to go straight through it all completely, but if you go to high school, you can see competitive events, and you can see all the different events that DECA offers, okay? So we're going to just scroll down to like where the written events are. Okay, so it tells you guidelines. So it tells you the exact format of your paper. The guidelines does. It gives you a sample event. Those are the 2 things that you want to look at, okay? So your guidelines, it'll tell you how many pages. It outlines it to even tell you what you need to include, okay? Introduction, executive summary, what research methods do you use? Because remember, this is the really long one that Sarah did last year. So obviously this is it's more detailed, but you get that for every one of your written events. So you can go and look at the written events and see what does it take, what does it include, stuff like that.
There's an outline that they want you to follow and you kind of have to follow. So it's not like you're starting from thin air.
We can also...
There's specific
Like
things
you
need to
literally
do.
would put 1, executive summary, and you summarize your project. 2 is the introduction. And it even tells you, under the introduction, it wants you to describe the business or organization. Well, that's easy because you just look at their website and then you describe the business or organization. Okay? B, what is the description of the community that they're located in? Okay, so for example, one of our teams actually advanced to nationals last year with the Sports and Entertainment Operations Research event. They did Cynthia Woods Mitchell Pavilion. So in A, they described Cynthia Woods Mitchell Pavilion. In B, they described the Woodlands. Okay, and then in C, they did an overview of what their organization's current experience was. So it actually tells you like what to include in each section. You don't have to come up with it yourself. Okay, so that's the really cool part, and that's why I say it's easier to actually write a written event, because they give you all the sections. And if you don't know what they mean, then just come ask me and I'll help you.
There's also sample papers online you can read, and you can see their ideas and what they did, and you can we really mirrored our project off of some of the sample papers we read, and used some of their ideas for stuff, and so it's really easy to mirror your ideas kind of using their format, which makes it super easy.
So this is kind of what it looks like. Do you guys see that there's like paragraphs, there's spaces, there's pictures?
The executive summary is the only one that is, you can do single space. For all the others, you can do double space.
But see, you see how there's pictures in it?
It's just you want to do single space for executive summary because there's so much you need
And
to
it's
fit in there.
actually better to include more pictures because it makes it more visual and it makes it prettier, and it's actually good to include a lot of pictures.
So that's kind of it. We just wanted to give you an overview and let you see what it's about. I would definitely start asking questions and seeing where you're at, what you want to do, and get in the right direction.
Okay.
Okay, these people, if you're going to leadership training, can you stay after? We just need to give you like a thing.
Yeah, we have permission slips for any of these people going to leadership training. We're also here if you want to come ask us questions. I think that's pretty much
We
it.
have yellow forms if you're ready to go with that.
Yeah, follow us on social media.
Okay? Thanks for coming, guys. If you did not get a shirt and you paid your DECA dues, please come see me and I'll get you a shirt.